All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Here's Johnny.
Vanity. Definitely my favorite sin.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
The power of Christ compels you!
This is my boomstick.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Good evening and welcome to Shiver, a horror movie podcast. We are your hosts.
I'm Daniel DeBona.
And I'm David Ulloa. And with us, we could call him a co-host at this point, is Ish.
Thanks, guys. Actually, I grew up in the 90s, so I prefer special guest star. I like to think of myself as the Heather Locklear of Shiver.
our special guest star. I always like to say on loan to us from the Pero Let Me Tell You podcast is I like in the movies when it's like appearing thanks to like Warner Brothers Records, right? So thanks to the Pero Let Me Tell You podcast, we have been lent Ish.
Thank you guys for having me again.
I
thank you for having me. Although after this movie, I may have to consider the next time you guys ask me.
As soon as Dave warned me about this movie, I was like, man, Ish would probably be good for this one. We had a lot of
I love me some, I'm just gonna be upfront. I love me some bad movies, right?
I remember you saying that,
and I enjoy them as, quote unquote bad movies, right? For the badness of it. And this is one where even I had to kind of rethink some stuff in my life. So yeah.
So for the viewer, the listener, a little bit of background, right? As we did in October, Daniel and I said, hey, we should do something Halloween themed because it's the month of October, right? So month of November, you don't really have that great a selection of Thanksgiving themed horror movies. So we went back and forth on one or two of them, and I suggested to Daniel this movie I saw a couple years ago, Blood Rage. And I was like, it's a Thanksgiving themed horror movie, and as a Florida boy, not only does it take place in Jacksonville, Florida, but it was filmed in Jacksonville, Florida.
Duval.
So I'm sure Jacksonville's still trying to forget this. They're trying to wipe it from existence.
I think it's the reason nobody goes there.
There's nothing there. It is Jacksonville. We'll leave it at that. So so I warned him. I said, listen, this is not a good horror movie. However, it kind of is representative of the majority of slasher movies that came out in the 80s.
Yes.
Okay.
Not all of them are Friday the 13th. They can't all be Happy Birthday to Me. They can't all be Alice, Sweet Alice. They're going to be mostly duds.
This wasn't even Sleepaway Camp. No.
Although I am going to mention Sleepaway Camp when we get to acting.
Okay.
Because I got some vibes, and so I told him this. The really interesting thing about this movie, I think, is this movie was filmed in 1983, which was close to the height of the slasher, right? 1981 is the year of the slasher, right? So 1983
is that the Chinese Zodiac?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the year of the slasher.
Yes.
1983. We've moved on since the year of the slasher, but it's still there. It's kind of like when Indiana Jones comes out, and there's all these adventure movies that are kind of like aping on it, and it kind of goes away, but every now and then you still get a few. So that's what I feel like Blood Rage was. It was capitalizing on this craze that was on the way out, except that it gets shelved.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come out until 1987. right? So 1987, we're now many years removed from the height of the slasher. I mean, unless it's a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street movie,
Right.
it's not coming out. You know, these things are more or less dead. So this is kind of an oddball, and it comes out in this weird time. So as an example of the slasher subgenre, but also as a movie, how does this work for you? Does anything stand out, good or bad? Ish, I'll let you go first.
All right. So I think before we even get into that, the fact that this movie literally has 3 different titles, I think is indicative of what you're in for. We saw it. It was called Blood Rage. Then literally, I texted you as I was watching it, Dave, because I'm watching it and the title screen comes up and it says Slasher. And I'm like, wait a minute, did I just spend $2 on the wrong movie? And you're like, no, you're right. And then I'm reading up on it.
By the way, I'll give you those $2 back. The next time.
I will take it out as a drink. How's that? It's a drink because it's not $2. I will say at least it's 80 something minutes, so it's not a very long movie. But and then it had a different name, another name as well when it was actually released.
Nightmare at Shadow Creek or something like that.
Yes, also Complex.
That's right.
Working title.
That was the word.
So basically, it has one title for every year it was shelved, and this movie is just, on the face of it, is the most basic premise, right? It's there's twins. They, and spoiler alert, one of them kills somebody at a drive-in, frames the other twin. That twin goes into an insane asylum. Now we're like 10 years later. They're about like maybe 19. One of them escapes. It's on Thanksgiving, and mayhem ensues. I mean, like, it can't be more basic than that, right? How they managed to take that and do next to nothing with it is a talent that I have to commend them on, because it is just amazing. The acting is, I mean, I'm going to say stilted, but that's an insult to stilts. It is, there's no motivation. I mean, like, even the most basic of slasher movies, right? I know people are saying, like, I don't come to a slasher movie for motivation. It's, just killer goes, chops people up and moves on, right? Yeah, but there's got to be a motive, a reason, a something. No, thank you.
Red herring.
No.
Yeah.
Not once. Like I kept like, the movie's called Blood Rage, right? So I kept waiting like the psychiatrist is eventually going to show up and be like, it's like he gets enraged when he smells blood or something.
And listen, they had the best setup, because really, and again, it's set in Thanksgiving for no apparent reason. Like, it could have been, it could have happened during Arbor Day and nothing would have changed.
There
right?
were many trees.
So maybe it was Arbor Day, actually, when they filmed it. That's why everybody was off. There's even this weird thing with the mother. They could have even explained it away as some type of weird, like, Oedipal complex thing, because the person that he kills when he's a kid, they're at this okay, can we stop and talk about the world's horniest drive-in for a minute?
Yes.
Everyone is having sex everywhere. Yes. It's not just in the cars. It's on top of the cars.
Okay.
Between the cars.
I have been to bathhouses with less sex going on than that drive-in. Okay? All right? Like, there were people just fucking. Like, I mean, it was not even trying to, like, cuddle. Nope. It was, I mean, wow. That is the
like, all right, got my popcorn. Now I'm going to go to the bathroom and buy condoms from Ted Raimi.
From Ted Raimi, yes. Which leads me to wonder, like, were they filming Evil Dead nearby and he just kind of wandered on set?
Like, it's interesting to hear, like, because this came out the same year as Evil Dead 2 was 87. And so so I was like, oh man, he had 2 films come out, right?
I remember this was filmed in 83.
Yeah, but then I was like, oh, it was filmed in 83. Okay.
Yeah, I'm guys, I'm telling you, I love bad movies, and I'm still trying to figure out what it is that we watched. Like, And feel free to interrupt, because I could go on for like 17 hours. Like, I want to apply to grad school just to write a dissertation on this movie, because okay, did you guys know who the mother was? The actress playing the mother?
So I've done a little bit of research, so I know who she is from that, but this is not someone I was familiar with before.
So it's Louise Lasser. She's not really known now, but in her heyday in the maybe mid to late 70s, she was a star of a Norman Lear sitcom that was a parody of soap operas called Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman.
Right.
She even then went on to, she was like, I think, the second to last host on SNL in its first season. She was on.
I've heard about that. That episode is like legendary.
It's legendary, exactly.
She was, yeah.
I'm not saying that she's a quote unquote, like, it's not like they got, an Academy Award winner or something like that, right? But she's a name at the end of the day, right? Like, what the hell was she doing in this movie?
Yeah, no, I mean, when you look at this movie and you finish it up and the credits have finished rolling because you can't bring yourself to move, let alone pick up the remote and turn anything off.
Thank you. Were you spying on me? Because that's exactly what happened. I literally was like, I'm just gonna let those credits keep going. Just till the end. Yeah.
You're hoping there's gonna be some dude in a 14-year-old girl's mask just sitting there naked, yelling like, I knew there was something.
Give me something.
More sex at the drive-in. I don't know, something.
Yeah,
just
like, you got your classic slasher names. You got your Freddys and your Jasons and your Leatherfaces and of course your Terry.
Yeah. Wait, which was Terry the slasher or was it Todd?
Terry was the killer.
Terry was the slasher. Todd was the one who went to the asylum. Let me just okay. So if you're wondering what Blood Rage is about, like maybe our Instagram post is like, he says it'll be good if you've never seen it. Let me explain to you the course of just one couple in this movie's night. All right, so there's a couple named Andrea and Greg, and this is the progression of their night. Get together to hang out. They are playing a video game. They start making out. Okay, cool. Normal high school stuff. The next thing they decide to do is painstakingly apply horror makeup to in the middle of making out. Like, oh, you know what? We should stop for a minute. Painstakingly apply horror makeup so they can pull a prank. Then
and her makeup changes, by the way. Her makeup
Yes.
changes from the initial scene where you see her on the bed to the second part of it. Her face is like swollen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then they decide to go play tennis in the middle of the night. Then they decide to go have sex on a diving board, and then they're murdered.
See, what you don't
Now,
know,
I don't
Devona,
know about.
is
Listen, I'm sorry.
that's actually how they celebrated the first Thanksgiving, and that's why this was done.
Fuck, I was getting to it, man. I was gonna say that's how I celebrate every Thanksgiving.
That's just the progression of one pair of people in this movie. It starts with this really freakishly awkward voiceover, and it really sets the tone of what the hell.
I swore that voiceover was because that therapist, because it's the voice of the therapist. I was like, this is probably not the same woman voicing it,
right?
Who's in the scene? Because I'm like, that has to be the reason why. No.
We're not going to watch her give the mother this information. We're going to give this to the voiceover.
Every time I watch this movie, yes, I have
how
seen
many
it more than once.
Okay, how many and why?
This was number 3, and because I enjoy bad movies.
Who hurt you? like what?
So it's so bizarre. There's so much that happens in this movie while like absolutely nothing is accomplished. If that makes any sense.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
It's and like you said, that opening scene, right? You're like, oh, this is some serious trauma. Like this could play out and be very thrilling, and this could get deep. But they never explored that.
Also, can I just say, that entire drive-in, I know that they were all just interrupted from the sex they were all having. They are the worst group of witnesses I've ever seen in my life, because there are literally people who, as the two kids are standing in front of the other and the one kid is framing the other kid, are there watching him as he hands the other one the axe and wipes the blood. Yeah. These are the world's worst witnesses. It's like they were all part of the OJ trial. Just that's, I mean, criminy.
And so there's just there was so much to unpack, and yet none of it was ever approached appropriately or dealt with at all. And what we get can really only be defined as a movie, right? It is 82 minutes that was definitely committed to film.
That is.
So I agree on all accounts. I was gonna say every time I see this movie, that very oddly placed voiceover that happens between the therapist and the mother, to me seems like it's ADR that's like not synced up with the video.
Right.
And I always pause and I'm like, oh no, that's right. There's a voiceover here. And then keep going. So I have no idea what was going on there. I don't know if it was an attempt at stylistic filmmaking, because there's pauses where the mother then, you know, gives her like in time response. It's weird. I don't know exactly what's going on.
The only thing I can conjecture about that whole scenario is that I did read that the therapist was played by one of the producers, because the actress who was actually going to play the therapist like quit the day before or something like that.
Never came down from New York.
Yeah, so they may not have had time. Like maybe they were just like, look, we're just pressed for time. Just, I don't know, sit in an office somewhere. We've only got it for the next 20 minutes, and we'll do a voivoicer later.
So that's actually like a running theme in this film, because many that's about what the people lasted at the drive-in. The production crew being involved in the acting. So like for example, like the special effects guy was the boyfriend that gets his head chopped off in the apartment that's, you know, hanging by the cord when you open the door.
The sugar daddy.
The sugar daddy, yeah.
Mama's gonna get you a rich daddy.
There you go. Yeah, that's the special effects producer for the film. So there was a lot of that going on, as I guess a way to meet budget, or as a way to kind of just have fun. Like, hey, we're making this movie, let's do it.
We're already paying you to be here.
Exactly.
Right. You're already on set.
One of the other things that I love about this movie is this movie gave Ted Raimi his career.
This movie,
yeah, because even though he had obviously been involved in the production of Evil Dead a couple years prior, he's not an actor, right? He was what they call a fake shemp, right? He's got some makeup on and he stands in a scene, right? He really wanted to make it as an actor. And so,
his brother said, then, God damn it, I'm going to let you. And I'm making Spider-Man, and there's going to be 3 of them, and you get to be in all of them.
You've already sold condoms inside of a drive-through bathroom. Well, damn it, there's nowhere but up.
So he told his father, he says, why I really want to do it. You know, Sam's doing it. I want to do it. And his dad was like, okay, I'll give you a year. Like I'll help you out for a year. You go to New York, you try to be an actor for a year.
Oh, okay.
And he says, if you don't make it, then you come back home to Michigan.
That's fair.
Right? And he says, okay, that seemed fair. And apparently for a whole year, he could not find an acting gig. And 2 days after he mailed off a letter to his father saying, I'm coming back home, he got this acting gig.
Oh, okay.
And it was a paid acting gig.
Right.
And I mean, all he had to do was sell condoms in a bathroom. But he says he started landing other roles, and that's where his career came from.
Just that first one.
Yeah, it was kind of that first one that caught people's attention, because you don't see him anywhere in Evil Dead. As much as that movie gained this incredible cult following, people knew Sam Raimi because of it. People knew Bruce Campbell because of it. No one knew Ted Raimi because of it.
I mean, he's literally listed in the IMDb as just fake shemp.
Yeah.
So we tiptoed around it. We've talked a little bit about, or I say we've talked a little bit about it, but honestly, we've laid the whole thing out there for you. But when we look at the story for this movie, you can see that the seed of this movie was a decent idea. You know,
could be interesting.
Right. Like there was a guy with a good idea who just maybe wasn't, you know, a filmmaker when he had this. So, but when you look at the story from, you know, sexy drive-in to pool and everything in between, there's kernels of what could be a good story there possibly. But so what do you think about the story just kind of when you look at it overall, Dave?
So I think that there's a lot of really great vignettes here. There's it's almost as gonzo in its like setup of violence as Mandy is, which we talked about last week, right? And that's really great because kind of all you care about when you go see a slasher is how much skin you're going to see and how much it's going to be murdered, right? So that's cool and all, but you should have something that strings it all together, right? And it isn't strung together, right? But to me, the largest offense that this movie makes is that you have what was, to my knowledge, a fairly unique premise in that you have twins involved in a slasher, right? You had the opportunity to do something a little bit more psychological and make this almost like a whodunit, right?
Yeah.
Which twin was it? Was it Terry or was it Todd, right? And this is something that's been done more in the thriller genre, but never explored in the more exploitative slasher genre. And it's all the cards are laid out on the table in that very first scene, and there's never a question about who the bad guy is and who's being set up. And the characters are so forced into behaving like absolutely inhuman assholes that it could never possibly occur to their mother that Terry isn't normal, that Terry could have done this,
right?
You know, and like you say, no one, not one witness tells her, hang on a second, ma'am, this one who's covered in blood, by the way, not just has a smear of blood,
right?
He clearly is the one who did this, right? The woman who ran away naked, did the police not question her?
They never. Legend has it she's still running through Jacksonville naked.
She's the Jacksonville version of the Yeti. Yeah.
She hasn't seen a razor or a man since 1983.
Yes. The Great White North has the Yeti. Jacksonville has the Snatchy. And
so I mean, as far as plot, I mean, also you have maybe the worst therapist in the history of slasher movies. I mean, in a genre that gave you Dr. Loomis, right? Like the fucking man. I mean, and he's a bad therapist.
Oh,
he's a
bad.
Great character,
yes,
right? You know, but in a genre that gives you Dr. Loomis, you're going to have this woman who is like very clearly, number one, not good at her job
at all.
Right?
Can we talk about how she hired a goon?
Yes, she hired a goon.
He shows up and points a gun right to the guy's mouth. What is that?
Open door, open gun in your face.
Whoa,
goon,
but it's just
slow
a tranquilizer. No. First of all, it was not just a tranquilizer because that did not look like a tranquilizer dart.
No,
no. And second of all, that's not how you say hello on Thanksgiving. It's just not. It's not.
Yeah, this is a woman who watched Halloween and was like, "I'm gonna be just like that guy, not the actor, that bad doctor."
And thus was born a career in therapy.
Exactly. There's you know
what I loved most about that scene was the fact that the mother comes out, right? And she first addresses the therapist. She goes, "Doctor," whatever her name was, and then she sees that this guy has the gun, and she goes, "What's that gun?" And she like overacts everything. It's like, dude, you heard her say that, like, why else would you be coming out here? It's a totally like unreasonable way for someone to behave. Like we'll get to her acting later.
I mean, yeah, we have to because
there was a definite, like, I don't know, 7 minutes there when we knew that Todd had escaped. And we knew that Terry was the murderer 10 years prior, but there's always that, but when the murders start happening again, there's I'll call it 7 minutes where you're not sure which one is committing the murders. You know, they immediately are like, oh, by the way, yeah, no, it's definitely still Terry. But they give you a few minutes to go, man, maybe Todd's just really pissed off. He spent the past 10 years in an asylum.
True.
And so you do get that very briefly. Like that is when I did start to kind of, okay, all right, well, now I get to spend the rest of the movie wondering which one's actually killing, right? And they're like, no, here's the really awkward one who's been in an asylum for 10 years. And yeah, that's definitely Todd. The story of this brother, like if we're just looking at the story, what's absolutely just astonishing to me is the idea that, and I don't know, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, that they never once even attempted to give us a reason as to why Terry was like this and why he managed to have a 10-year cooling period, right? Like,
thank you.
Like BTK,
right?
Like his cooling period was not even quite 10 years, I don't think, right? Like that dude went away for a while, but he wasn't 7 and then 17. You know, like there's like to just take 10 years off and then your trigger be, fuck, my brother's out. Like now I gotta kill people. It's so bizarre.
So that was also something that wasn't really established, and I think it boils down to just like lazy writing. It's filled with good ideas that are never really explored. So to me, what finally like makes him snap again is his mother's getting married. Because we see that change in his eye when they announce the marriage. And I think it's because kind of like how Jason is always upset when he sees people having sex for some reason, right?
Terry was upset somebody else is going to fuck his mom.
I think so.
But think about the initial murder. It happened, you know,
exactly.
when
says,
she was,
mom's at it again.
Yep.
Yeah. He says,
mom's a hoe.
Yeah, she is. She is. And also, I can't explain why, because, you know, she's fucking out of her mind, you know. So, you know, either that shit's made of gold or
her last name is Hoover.
Yeah.
But I can't understand it because I mean,
look, man,
we'll talk about
I've been to some dark places on the internet, and I can very, very confidently tell you, nicotine stained teeth, not a niche I've ever found.
Okay, only because you brought up teeth. Can we, for a moment, talk about the Thanksgiving dinner where there are close-ups of everybody's face and everybody's teeth are just way too big?
Oh yeah.
Everybody's got these weird like veneers, but they're all yellowing, so it's like they're not veneers, right? Because veneers are always very pristinely white, but everybody's just got these big chompers, and it was just very unsettling for me. I was like, you guys need to just put them away. Like, don't smile. No, I need another scene. Like, I did not enjoy that. It made me feel very uncomfortable.
You know what I think that is I think it's a cinematographer or a director, I'm not sure if he handled the camera work himself, who is unsure of what lens to use for the situation. Because when you're doing those like really tight shots, you can't use those lenses because it distorts everything.
Busta Rhymes disagrees, sir.
Yeah, but they didn't look like woodchucks. Yeah, nobody looked like a woodchuck in those fisheye lenses, though. Like, so they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just there's like you said, this was a bunch of this movie seems to have stemmed from some sort of drug-fueled night of creating an outline of a film and then just stumbling ass backwards into the money to get to make it. And it's like, oh fuck, somebody just wrote us a big ass check. Like, we actually have to do
to make this now. Yeah.
Yeah. If you told me this was a student film, I believe you.
Yeah. With that.
Yes, I would. And in a lot of ways, like its production quality is equal to the other Ted Raimi film we mentioned, Evil Dead, although Evil Dead is far superior.
There's a story
in just about every way. It's got a great story, you know, but it's in that kind of low budget, you know, we're kind of like figuring things out as we go sort of way.
Which again, you mentioned, I think that's a very big, early 80s thing where, all of a sudden filmmaking became, I think, a little bit more accessible to the average person. Like, I mean, we talk about it nowadays where anybody, I mean, we've seen the iPhone 13, commercials where it's like, oh, I'm filming an entire action sequence on my mobile phone. I think that era was maybe the first germ of that, where everybody could now have access to those cameras and then to that editing equipment in a way that maybe 50s and 60s, you really had to kind of have that budget to be able to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, you had guys that were kind of like trailblazers, like guys like Wes Craven, Sean Cunningham, Sam Raimi. These guys were literally inventing how you make the modern horror movie as they were doing it. You know, there were no rules, and yet they were writing the rule book. So so I think a lot of guys kind of, took that, and then you had people who were willing to finance it, who were not in the film industry.
Right.
And so you had these films that were then made and couldn't be distributed because these studios were like, we're not going to fucking push this shit out. It's garbage, right? Which is why
roll code didn't exist yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh fuck, I love Carol Co. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Cannon. Oh, Cannon.
Cannon,
film.
yes.
Yes. Oh, the great Cannon films.
Oh, it's a great documentary about Cannon film.
Yes. Yeah. I love that documentary. Fuck, what was it called? I can't remember now. They did two of them. There were two of them, and they took like slightly different approaches. But in the end, you saw Menaheim. What's his name? Both those guys. Yeah, they were just fucking nuts.
Oh yeah. They did whatever the hell they wanted to do and called it a day.
Two crazy Israelis who were like, "We make movie."
Why not?
Yeah, Stallone, you make movie for us. So, yeah. So, we've covered plot, acting. I've been
being generous with these terms.
Yeah.
To get into this, particularly for shit. What did you say? Her name was Louise Lasser.
Louise Lasser,
right? But Debona, I will be a gentleman, and I am not going to go first. What are your thoughts on the acting in this movie?
All right, so
Film
somebody
cinema.
in the great brain trust that it was that decided this film should exist. There was somebody who watched this boy named Mark Soper and was like, not only can this dude act, but this motherfucker is going to be two different people.
He also, by the way, he went on to star in like primetime soaps in the 80s.
Hey, okay, well,
so
I guess they saw it, and I mean, you can only do so much, with 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag, right? So, if he went on to do great things, and good for him, because it sure did. That did not come from this movie. This movie did not make this man sizzle reel. I can guarantee you that. You can attribute some of it to writing, you can attribute some of it to not, but man. The tally, I believe, was 4 times. 4 times, I believe, he said that's not cranberry sauce.
Yes.
Yep.
Delivered exactly the same every time, as if actually speaking to someone when they weren't there. And at no point in the movie did anybody actually ever say, "Yo, is that cranberry sauce?"
Also, that would have made more sense if his initial kill had happened at Thanksgiving.
Right. Like if he'd gone back, like if he'd walked through the dining room. Right. And they're like, oh, you got cranberry sauce in your shirt. And then he gets to the bathroom and he's like, oh, that's not cranberry sauce. No, he kills someone, goes back to the bathroom by himself, and then just says it to himself and just smirks. Like it's just the most clever thing ever. First time, sure. Okay. Yeah. But then he just keeps going with it. There's a lot to be said about some of the acting, I guess. You've got I mean, it's interesting to find out that some of the people in it were just crew members that kind of get cast into these positions, right? Because there's some things that are partially the acting and partially the set in this movie. With the guy who's the potential sugar daddy, he's sitting there on a couch that's apparently only 4 inches off the ground because the dude's knees are in his chest.
And when he walks in, he's not that much
No.
taller than like
No.
you would think the average person.
And then it's like, all right, here's your moment, man. He's like, never had coconut liquor before. And he's just,
Creme de mentha. Like,
yeah, and he's just reading liquor bottles, and it's like,
do you drink it neat or on the rocks? No, that's for children.
Just like, you know, like I will say, you know, like the teenagers, I guess they're all 17, right? Like they did their job convincingly enough, as naive 17-year-olds, regardless of how old they actually looked. I will give it to the actress who played the mother, that, you know, if she was supposed to be playing it like she was totally out of her mind, and thoroughly, deeply, madly, Savage Garden style in love with her son, then she nailed it.
I have to say, I think that, you know, you were saying earlier about like the story. I think this movie has 2 stories. It has the story of the slasher, you know, the whole situation, and then it has Louise Lasser in her, you know, Portrait of a Slowly Manic Woman, a play in 3 rooms, because she is literally, there are literally just scenes where I'm like, okay, she filmed this in like an hour and a half, because it's literally just her in her bedroom vacuuming and like, no, he can't be. Then calling, I guess, everyone in her phone book in the living room after she took a shower. Then she's in the kitchen eating, which I was like, is this a John Waters movie now? Like, it just...
I'm telling you, like, that's... I had the exact same thought. I was like, wait, what is happening, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I've been in that situation after Thanksgiving where I've just been sitting bare ass on the floor in front of the fridge.
I've seen and criticized.
We've all been there. We've all been that drunk that we're just sitting in front of the fridge, door wide open. You're like, how old is this slice of turkey?
And it didn't matter.
No.
So it's like either she, as an actress, either she's completely horrible or she's a genius. Like, I can't figure it out with those scenes, right? Because it's either she knows something nobody else knows on set, or she's just like, no, this is just as bad as it is, and I'm just gonna do it. Like, I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out.
I think I figured it out. And where The Exorcist had Ellen Burstyn to kind of, you know, give that gravitas, you know, Oscar Award winner, you know, playing the beleaguered mother. Blood Rage had Louise Lasser doing acting. I don't know what that was, but to me, it reminds it like, imagine what any person would do, and she did not that.
Well, this is someone, again, it doesn't mean anything, but she studied at some like prestigious acting school in New York, like method actor. She was married to Woody Allen for a couple of years. So like she has a quote unquote background, right? Like, and
there's a resume there.
Right. That's why I'm like, either she is doing something genius that we don't understand, or not. Like,
and you know, that's it's. I haven't seen any of her other work, so it's very possible that she is a fucking genius, you know. But I think that what we've all seen Ewan McGregor act, right?
Yes.
I mean, we've seen Trainspotting, you know. We've name a fucking movie. He's incredible in it. But we've also seen The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. All right.
Right.
There's only so much you can do with the material that you're given. And I think that a lot of the really poor acting here comes from the fact that these characters are written in totally inhuman ways. No one interacts or behaves the way that they are written in this movie.
Okay, just speaking of not behaving in a way that makes any sense, even for a psychopath, Terry's ability to just stroll into frame like fucking Pepe Le Pew. Like there's not a locked door in this world that Terry can't find a way around.
I think he teleports.
And he's never in any hurry, and he always just like strolls into frame, like kind of almost out of focus in the background a lot of times. But at one point when he's chasing the girl, he chases her into a bathroom where obviously she has to be. There's no other way out. And what does he do? Stops to take a piss and then leaves. Like, what? Dude, she's in there. Of course she's in there. Where else would she have gone? And he's like,
also world's quietest baby.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Loud the whole time.
That
It's like, hey, go in this cabinet. Okay.
Shh. My favorite part was when they cut to the baby, though, in the apartment. The baby, you can hear, is crying, but has a pacifier in its mouth.
No, and not moving
fine.
a bit.
It's fine.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Terry was that after every round of unaliving, he goes back to his house to shower.
Yeah,
and change. And
yes.
He does his hair. He
blow dries
his hair, and he sprays whatever the fuck he's spraying, So Glow or whatever.
If he didn't blow dry his hair, we wouldn't know which one was Terry and which one was Todd.
Dude, I know Todd was in an insane asylum or what have you, but did they not have any conditioner? Because Homeboy had some greasy ass hair. I mean, and that's not Florida humidity, okay? That's
the swamps of Jacksonville, baby. Duval.
No. I'm a Miami boy. I know humidity, and I've never had greasy hair like that, okay? I don't care shit. No. No.
Yeah, for me, the biggest offender when it comes to acting was definitely Louise Lasser. To me, it was she reminded me of the guy who owned the camp in Sleepaway Camp.
The gangster.
There were certain like line deliveries, and I couldn't pick up on it at first. And it was only this time that I picked up on it. I guess because it had been so close in time since we saw Sleepaway Camp. Because I see Sleepaway Camp all the time. I'll watch it like 2 or 3 times a year. But it's usually so far removed from Blood Rage. I mean, the last time I saw Blood Rage was probably 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I just hadn't put 2 and 2 together. And I was like, fuck, who is she reminding me of? Like, because this is terrible. But I'm like, it's so bad. It reminds me of another bad performance. Like, I don't often think that way. And it finally came to me. And it was that fucking guy, Sleepaway Camp. And her delivery is exactly the same. But this is an emergency.
That's great.
Also, and again, this comes back to writing. I understand she has to do what the script tells her, but why not just get the fuck up and walk to the office?
That's what.
Why are you having this meltdown in the middle of your living room when you can just take like a 3-minute
Terry
walk
made
to
it
the
there
office?
and back in no time, and he committed a murder in the middle, a gruesome murder,
and posed a dead body to be like holding his head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I was like, you know what? That's talent, sir.
Yeah.
Kudos to you as a serial killer who has the time to pose his victims that way.
Yeah, it's just there were so many weird, nuances. Probably the wrong word because that makes you think about something good.
Nuances,
but there were just so many quirks to the ways that people behaved.
I have to say my favorite quirk, I'm gonna use that word quirk, is literally the last scene that the girlfriend is in, right? So again, spoiler alert for this 30+ year movie that nobody's gonna watch. After so the mother comes in the pool area, she kills the murderer son, right? Terry, that was the one who was actually
she kills Terry.
She kills Terry,
yes,
thinking it was Todd, and then she, starts hugging Todd and saying, "Oh, Terry," and then Todd's all like, "No, I'm Todd. I can't even keep it straight in my own. I'm Todd. Right? So then she grabs the gun and shoots herself, right? Because she can't live with what she's done.
But before she does this, she starts saying, "I'm Todd" with him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a psychological thriller plot that is
there's something there
that is maybe shot and edited out.
No. This is remnants of what you guys were saying, which is somebody had an idea for something, and then again, remember, this is the final draft, guys. There was a worse version of this movie. I always tell that to people when they're like, this thing was horrible. I'm like, and just think, this is the final version. There was a part of this that we're like, we need to revise it. But my favorite part is after the mother shoots herself, and then the final girl, she's holding the baby. She literally makes a face that says, fuck this, and walks out of the pool area.
Yeah.
Like, she's not horrified. She's not running to catch, to call a cop or whatever. She's just literally like, I'm not dealing with this bullshit. Bye. Like,
this is my baby now.
Yeah, right. Like, I have a child now. Bye, bitches. I'm done. Like, happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to Black Friday. Like, it's just, she's done. I love it.
I did one of my favorites, like when you look at some of the side characters in this movie, as often happens in a slasher, is you've got somebody whose entire character is like one personality trait, and the one girl who literally the only thing she could say was, I told you I love to party. You know, she's like, I majored in partying. When are we gonna party? And I'm like, okay, I see you, right? Get your freak on, Andrea. Do you? But like, it's so funny sometimes the way that like somebody's like, well, we need. We need the kind of skanky girl, right? And then like,
but how skanky
have
was
the jock
she?
yet?
But,
no
yeah,
jock.
Okay.
Let's write him in. Let's write in the jock.
But how skanky is she if when the murderer first walks into that apartment, she offers him a Bloody Mary?
Yeah.
Like, what are you, an 80-year-old woman at brunch? Like, she's like, hey, I've got vodka and tomato juice. I'm like, gross. Like, why?
This isn't even your house.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are the two things you found?
Oh, is that what that woman is using to seduce sugar daddies? Fucking tomato juice?
And creme de menthe.
And creme de menthe?
Yeah.
Those drinks could not be more 80s if they tried.
Oh my god. The fact that like her like foreign liquor collection was like a centerpiece on her coffee table. It's like, oh, I like what you did with the plate. Oh, what's this? Oh, exotic liqueur.
She might as well have had a goddamn can of Tab on the thing.
Oh boy.
Oh,
but her shoulder pads were on point. The one shoulder pad, because the other one was off the shoulder.
And I
very fashionable.
Well, this was 83. I think she was actually a little ahead of the time, because I feel like that was probably 84, 85 when that really started to, catch on. So
her Fredericks of Hollywood,
better knowledge.
Her Fredericks of Hollywood order was on point. I mean,
I miss Fredericks of Hollywood. Okay,
oh man,
Fredericks of Hollywood was the catalog equivalent of that drive-in.
Yes, it was.
It was, it was just sex.
Fredericks of Hollywood is part of what made me a man.
Oddly enough, me too.
So from what was undeniably terrible about the movie to something that was very, very good at times in the movie, and that is the special effects.
Yes,
this is where you can tell there was a love for what was being made. Yeah. So with the attention that was paid to certain special effects, what caught your eye? What stood out for you as special effects in this movie, Ish?
Well, I gotta say, for the $1.25 budget that they had, the special effects were good. Like, again, I think that may even be why we had the special effects guy as an actor and the producer as an actor, because they're like, shit, we blew the budget.
Well, interestingly, the special effects guy said, you can find some of these interviews out there in, the Webiverse. He says that he kind of had this idea that in his career, and this was not the first movie he had done. He was approached specifically because this was supposed to be a special effects heavy movie. Mm-hmm. He said that he kind of wanted to do almost like an Alfred Hitchcock thing, where he had a cameo in each movie that he did special effects in.
Oh, okay.
And this was the last movie that he had a cameo in.
Shit. Was it also the first? Was it?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was like a one and done type of deal. But no, I mean,
but it killed that career.
It killed that career. Never say your dreams out loud, kids. That's what the moral of the story is. I think the effects were good. I mean, all things considered, like I said, you can tell this isn't a movie that had a budget, right? Quote unquote. This is a movie where they had to be very judicious. Again, I don't know what Louise Lasser's, going rate was by that point, but she was the biggest name, so I'm sure it cost, substantially more than everybody else. And yet the special effects, like that, the first scene, not the first scene, not the drive-in scene, but the scene where he just goes in and chops the hand off of his mom's boyfriend, that was really well done.
Yeah.
I mean, again, within perspective, right? Like let's keep
all things on a spectrum.
Yeah, let's keep expectations at an attainable level, and even when he chops, this is great, chops the therapist in half, which I don't know how he did. Sure.
I kept doing the same thing. I was like, yo, where did he get that machete?
Yeah, I'm like, how? Jason hasn't even done that, and
I've seen an awful lot of Forged in Fire, all right, and even the best blacksmiths in this country have a hard time making steel that durable.
There were samurai taking notes. Oh.
Yeah.
Fucking ninjas are like, wow, we're jealous.
He's had a lot of practice. All right, he's been doing this since he was 7. All right,
he did it once.
Well,
7.
But when you perfect something, why change it? Right? And it's form. It's form.
It is form. It is form.
You got to make sure that you chop in the right direction.
You chop through.
Yeah,
through, like you're chopping something behind.
Yes,
right? Exactly. You're always looking, past the point that you're going to chop at. Sorry, Ish.
I mean, look. Overall, no. Listen, God knows this is more entertaining than the movie. No, but it was good effects. I mean, I can't take it away from the effect, and I think there might be a lag going on right now, so I apologize for that. But I can't take that away from the movie. It for what it had and for what it was, it had some really good.
Oh, we lost Ish.
He did lag out. All right, well, go ahead with special effects. We'll keep an eye on him to come back.
Yeah, so I have to agree. I think that the special effects were actually pretty good for what they were, and I think that they were really ambitious, maybe overly ambitious, which is why you get a special effect where, like, normally a slasher would just show us the hand being chopped off. They didn't stop there.
No.
He was like, no, let's take this a step further. We're going to see the hand kind of like still alive. It's still got blood in it, and it's going to crunch that beer can. That's really cool.
Pry this old style from my cold, dead fingers.
In the end, it ends up looking a little cheesy. Also, that beer had to have been like really, really warm because it had been sitting on his desk for quite some time.
Yes.
Because he went through all of Thanksgiving dinner and came back. So talk about, earning his fucking nursing degree. Hey, Ish, glad to have you back.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I was having a lag there, and I was like, it's coming.
That's okay. So we were just mentioning that there was ambition when it came to these effects, that they took it a step further than just what the casual slasher would do. Like seeing the hand crunch the beer,
and and later on when we revisit that scene and we find out that he didn't just like hit him in the head with the machete, he split his head.
He's bisected entirely.
And like when that head falls open, I was
gasped.
I was
like, oh shit! Like,
that looks like gray matter.
It
did.
That
looks like brain.
They did an awesome job with that one, and the entrails when she got cut in half. A lot of that stuff was done very, very well.
Yeah. Now I can't do it.
Her acting, her flailing about was awful, but the actual effect of like seeing her legs kind of kick out a little bit. And seeing her still flopping around like a fish out of water, like that was actually pretty good. I really enjoyed like there's so much. I think
I like that she kept her heels on because she's a lady. Damn it.
Yes. The scene where her assistant gets it in the stomach is really cool.
Yes,
that's a great scene.
You see him thrust and the cut is so perfect.
Yeah.
Because then they do that like double take, and now you're seeing it from the other side, and you're seeing the machete come through him. And it's a great use of editing and special effects at the same time. The head, I think, really looks like that guy. I so rarely do you see those like stunt heads, those dummy heads actually look like the person that they're supposed to look like.
That may be why it was his last cameo. He may not be with us anymore.
Yeah. And I think it's because it was the special effect guy where he was like, you know what, I can take the time to do this myself. I don't have to coax an actor into sitting here and getting the plaster and all that stuff. You know, it was done properly. So to me, that is where this movie really shines, which is one of the reasons why I do come back to this movie. As bad as the acting is laughably bad. Like, it is that bad, you know? I'm not sure that it quite circles round to, like, is there something going on here? I think it's just like, no, it just fucking sucks. Like, it's so bad, let's laugh at it. And then you can actually sit back and enjoy the gore.
Yeah.
So let's assume for a second. I know very little about filmmaking, but I know that very rarely are movies just filmed in the order that they happen.
Right.
But let's just assume for a second that they did that with this movie. If that's the case, we can only assume that all money budgeted for special effects was gone by the final pool house scene, because while so many of the special effects were good, can we take a second to point out how fucking bad that wig was when Terry and Todd were fighting on the double of Todd? It was perfectly like slick. It looked like one you just go to Spirit and buy, like it's perfectly slick black, and it was a completely different color. It was like gray.
How dare you besmirch the name of Spirit Halloween wigs?
You're going to say that in the city where Casa de los Trucos
dare you, sir? Yes. How dare you? That was not even a shake and go wig. Okay.
You're right. It wasn't even that good. And so that like that. I mean, there was a literal laugh out loud moment for me when they're struggling, and whichever one's back to us has got this terrible wig
and the gunshot.
The gunshots. That's exactly where I was
so
going next.
Bad.
So not only was the sound timing completely off, but there was no sell to it, right? It's like either this woman is a G that has been firing a gun forever and knows exactly how that thing's going to kick and has tensed every muscle perfectly well, or it just never occurred to them that that's not what a gun firing looks like.
Well, I
some
think
recoil, a little bit of a muzzle flash. It's a small gun, but it could be something.
I think what may have happened, and again, a lot of this is conjecture, right? I did read in the great resource that is Wikipedia that the director actually had a conflict with Louise Lasser at one point. And like, there was a time there where I think she wasn't going to do another, she wasn't going to finish it out, or he walked away. He's like, I'm not coming back to set until blah, blah, blah. So I think this may have even been during that time frame where they were like, you know what, fuck it. Just get her on set. Just fucking have her shoot the gun, call it a day, and we can just wrap
we'll fix
on
it
this. We'll fix it in post. Exactly. We'll do what we can.
Yeah.
I think there's no other explanation for it, right? Because I can almost see her just maybe being a nightmare to work with. Again, and I say that based on things I've read about her, like on SNL and everything. Like, she's historically was not easy to work with. And I can see these people, especially on this shoestring budget, just being like, dude, Louise, just show up. Just say I'm Todd for 5 minutes, and I
mean, that
can
go
makes
home.
an
awful lot of sense, because the majority of her scenes she did by herself.
Yeah,
she's not working with anyone except whatever phone operator was like on the other side of the phone in her head. I'm sure she was talking to somebody. I'm sure somebody was talking to her up here. All right, she's fucking lost it.
Yeah.
So that makes an awful lot of sense to me. But speaking of the pool, there was another special effect that I really like when he chops with the machete at who is it, Andrea?
Yes.
And we see as he chops that there's a cut that comes across her face.
Yeah.
That the special effects guy says, he goes, I ripped that right out of the playbook of The Exorcist. He goes, they did the same thing when it came to like splashing the holy water on Reagan. All you do is you put a little bit of false skin on, and then with some fishing wire, just pull, and it comes right off. It's a real easy special effect, but it looks so good. And I think that he's he was really good at knowing his craft, and it comes off really, really great.
Well, and in special effects and the kills is when we get that, like I said, when I started, it was just, that's where we get that there was a love for what was being made here. It just in the fact that they were like, not only are we going to kill people, it's going to be theatric. Yeah. We're going to kill a guy off camera, and then we're going to hang his head up with extension cords. You know, we're gonna slice a woman in half. Like, we're gonna axe this dude in the face multiple times. Those axe wounds, like on the guy's head in the drive-in kill, they're good. And it is so easy to forget that there were some awesome silver linings in this movie, and all of them were special effects. But I mean, there were some very, very well crafted kills and effects to sell those kills.
Yeah. Well, and it was planned that way. The special effects artist, and you know what? I keep saying the special effects artist. Let me fucking look up his name, because he deserves that respect. Ed French, that was his name. Okay. He says that everything was storyboarded so meticulously for this movie that he doesn't have the storyboards anymore, but they were there on set, and they shot it according to the storyboards. And one of the things that he wanted, you mentioned the hack and slash at the beginning of the movie, inside the car, Daniel. That's one of the things that he said he wanted to set the tone right away, because these slashers had moved in the direction of using dummies. When it came to those like head blows and things like that, and he really wanted to use like the old school Tom Savini way of doing things, of like prosthetics on someone's face, and that's the way they filmed it.
Man, I love a practical effect.
Speaking of putting respect on this guy's name, he was the makeup artist on Sleepaway Camp. He is Oscar nominated.
There you go.
He is Oscar nominated for Star Trek VI: Undiscovered Country, T2 Terminator, T2 Judgment Day. He did that one too, and did Salvation, Terminator Salvation. I mean, there's don't get me wrong, there's some misses in here. He also did White Chicks and the Dewey Cox movie, but.
You know what?
Round out the resume.
Yeah, right.
To stay in horror, Amityville 2, The Possession. There's some really great special effects in that movie. Yeah. The possession special effects that are going on in that are really, really great.
So I mean, again, we're looking at the mom, and we're looking at this makeup artist, right? Like, that's, and granted, this was only a second movie, so he may not have been pulling a huge amount yet, but he did go on to do some awesome things. So
everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of other awesome things, filmmaking, right?
I don't know, when he claps his hands that way, I get a little worried.
Direction, cinematography, editing, scoring, right?
None of this was involved in the movie, right?
I kind of lumped this all together. Is there anything that stands out as being something that you were like, oh, that caught my eye, or that caught my ear, or something like that? Or do you think it was just all bad? DeBona?
When you look at the technical choices made in this movie, it's pretty easy to just kind of say that so much of it is just like thrown into a blender, and it just kind of gets, it all just kind of gets mixed up. In my opinion, there was nothing really stand out about the scoring. Some of the, like I said, just some of the directorial choices are head scratchers. So when the final girl, when she finds Greg and Andrea's body, we watch them get killed on the diving board. We watch Greg fall into the pool. So at some point, Terry had to go into the pool and drag Greg's body out to position him in this sauna, just so they could like make these jokes about them having sex in the sauna or whatever. Right? Like, okay, like, yeah, if you maybe you don't think about that, but I was like, that dude was in the pool.
But in all fairness, we saw how good he was with a hairdryer.
That is true. That is true. I don't know that there's anything that really stands out from a technical perspective on this one. I feel like it's all just kind of boilerplate stuff, right? Like this is what horror movie music sounds like in the 80s. Like
Lots of synth.
yeah, this is how the story should progress. We should slide in under 90 minutes. Just all of those things. Just none of it felt special.
Yeah. I gotta agree with you. I mean, I think it was, and the editing could have used a little second round. I mean, like I said earlier, the makeup on Party Girl when they just decide they're like, hey, we were really horny, but we were
so horny
to put on this makeup to scare these people, and like literally from one scene to the next, her makeup is different. It's like and that's an easy fix, right? I mean, I think in the grand scheme of it all. And like in the opening scene, for instance, when the two kids are in the back of the station wagon, supposedly they think they're asleep, there's like a BB gun or a shotgun on top of the blanket.
It looks like an M16.
And
yeah, something. And then when they go back, it's not there, and it's like, okay. And I hate to say it, what's that old theory where it's like, if you show me a gun in Act 1, you better use that gun in Act 3, like type of deal. And it's just there.
They did bring it
there.
back though, because apparently the mom was like, oh, let me get that toy gun out of the station wagon and put it back in his bedroom as he goes to the asylum, because it was on his shelf. I saw it on the shelf and I was like, that's the same BB gun? Okay, yeah, no, put it on the shelf. Yeah, sure.
Why not? But yeah, no. Yeah, no. Like, I gotta say, David, I mean, again, last time I was on, we talked Sleepaway Camp, and you've said it yourself, and I've even said it, like, I've rewatched Sleepaway Camp a couple times. I enjoy watching Sleepaway Camp. I don't know that I would watch this movie again. There's one way I would, and I'm not, and I would say, like, if we all got together, right, and we're like, let's just get totally drunk and order a pizza.
That is what this movie's for.
But I don't need that for Sleepaway Camp. Like Sleepaway Camp, I can watch by myself. Right. And this movie is one of those.
It only enhances Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, and like I will only watch this again if it's with a group of people who are like, let's watch a cheesy horror movie, and I'm like, I got a treat for you.
Right. Yeah. So I actually think that there's a couple of shots that show potential for maybe a blossoming filmmaker that never came to be. Very early on, like when he's hacking away at this guy, right? We see that blood just splash across the popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, man, that's so indicative of the type of movie this is, right? It's popcorn fare. This is not highbrow entertainment, and you've come here for blood, and we're going to give you blood. Like, to me, that was like almost like a symbolic thing. Like, it was very artistic in my point of view. Now, there's not a lot of that in the movie, but there is some of that. Like, there's this really great shot during the whole chase with what was her name? The final girl.
Sure, that could be her name.
Karen. The chase with Karen. Of
course it was.
Right when he pulls the machete out of the baby's mother, I think that's a really good shot. It's a really great shot of him pulling that machete out of her chest, and then the camera pans up to him, and he's got this like really crazed look on his face. That's a great shot, and then it's followed up by her. I guess she figures she can hide just like next to like an armoire.
Yes,
like that's gonna fucking hide her.
Yeah, I will. The shot where she's high and he just kind of again strolls into frame.
Yeah, but the knife comes in and the camera shifts focus like twice in that shot, and it's actually a pretty good shot where the camera's focused on her, the knife comes into frame,
and then you wonder, is that cranberry sauce on the knife?
Right? Yeah. Like, oh wait, no, I've seen this. That's cranberry sauce. That's cranberry sauce. And he didn't ask the question there, oddly enough. So, it shifts the focus to the machete, and then as he finishes crossing the screen, the camera, shifts focus back to her. We see the horror on her face, and then she runs away. Right. So I think that's a pretty good shot. The way that it's filmed, where the horny couple, as soon as she opens the sauna door, the way that they're laid out, the angle at which it's shot, that it's very low and it's almost like distorting their bodies. I think that there's possibility here. There's you can see that there were ideas, and that there's a little bit of an artist in there who maybe just never met his full potential, and said,
but I think that's what we've been saying, all three of us, really, is this seems like something that had a very valid idea. There was an idea there. There was something different, especially for the time, right? Because it was the first time it was still in its infancy. It was 83. There was an idea. The special effects were good. It just, somewhere along the line, it just fell apart.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where this seems like one of those good intentions type of situations where it did not come together.
Yeah.
And so, we look at the fact that this movie is from 83. And so we're at an 80s slasher. So we got to finish up with the
Were
category.
either of you even born when this movie was filmed?
I was born in 83.
I was born when it came out in 87.
Depends on when it was filmed. I was born in June of 83. So it's it was a brisk fall. Let's assume they.
Yeah. The hell with both of you. I was already 4 years old.
So we're in 80s slasher territory. That means before we go, we've got to do boobs and blood. So when you look at the use of blood, the quantities of said blood, and the number of boobs, and just skin in general, how does this one stack up, Ish?
That is a great word, stack, because there's a lot of very stacked women in this. It definitely gives you your fair share. It's weird because it's not. A part of me wants to say it's gratuitous, but the other part wants to say it's not. Because really, there's only about 2, maybe 3 shots of boobs.
Yeah, very beginning in the car, right? Andrea showering, and then at one point, and then Andrea's body again later. So
so
a total of 3 boobs. 2 of them we see twice.
Right, 3 boob shots. It's the way you said it. It sounds like it's a Total Recall thing. I also have to thank you guys for yet again giving me a movie that has the early 80s, boys in short shorts and crop tops.
When I saw short shorts, crop tops, and high socks, I was like, yes, here you go. Come on, bring it, Ish.
Because I'm pretty sure that's a fetish that is now living inside of me very deeply. Like that opening scene where they're all playing football, I was just like, I understand the drive-in scene, because everyone here is hot. And if they all showed up at the drive-in, we're all having sex. It's just, yeah. And obviously, I mean, the blood, we've been saying it, the biggest saving grace of this movie is the special effects. And that inherently goes hand in hand with the blood quotient. I mean, it's weird because there's a lot of blood, but it all seems within the realm of the kills, right? Like and some of them are almost afterwards. Yeah. Where with that wonderful therapist, you don't see her get killed, right? But it's there afterwards. So there's something about that it's weird, but I also want to say it's a little less gratuitous because you're not seeing it in the moment. And so it's a little more like, oh, we're showing up after it happened. It's still gross looking and all that, but it's not as in your face as, the opening scene with the axe, or when he chops off the hand with the machete and things like that. So I don't know.
For me, I think actually it's not as gratuitous with its sex as a lot of other 80s slashers are. I think it's a little bit more reserved, but I think what is given is like extended shots of nudity, right? Because when she's in the shower, right, that's a pretty extended shot that you're seeing there, and you get full frontal, right? You very rarely, got bush in these movies, right? Bush. And you got bush,
Oh yeah.
So you also very rarely for a movie at this time got to see some dick too.
Wait, there was dick in this movie?
Yeah, did you miss it when
Apparently.
when he kills what's this guy by the pool?
Greg.
When he flops into the pool, there's something else flopping over there with him.
All right, Dave, moving forward, you have to tell me these things ahead of time. All right. The worse the movie, the quicker the peen notice has to come, because otherwise there's nothing to look forward to.
Yeah,
Well, I gotta be honest. I forget about it every time until it happens. I'm like, "There's the guy's dick."
Hey, I will say the commitment to nudity in this movie is fascinating from the jump. Not only do we get a very quick boob, but also like the concept of like having sex at a drive-in where apparently everybody's having sex, but getting completely ass naked to have sex in the back of your. I've had sex in a car. You don't tend to take off all your clothes.
Especially if you're opening the window.
Yes, especially if the window is open, right? You get out the parts that you need out.
But you know what? I feel like that's just what happened at that drive-in. I feel like it was
just that drive-in.
It was a clothing optional drive-in. Like they may have shown up that way.
and then the fact that when the kid pokes his head in, the guy's just like, "Hey, get out of here."
Yeah. Does not miss a beat.
No. Stroking away.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, you're the pervert. You're the pervert, not me, who's buck ass naked, ass just fucking flailing over here as I go to town on my old lady.
But nobody's gonna notice because everybody else is doing the same shit in their cars.
Yeah, everybody else too busy being naked in their back seats. But yeah, like I will say, what's really interesting to me about the blood in this movie is of all the times things got very graphic. When the mother shoots herself at the end, there is what could have been a better closing shot, in my opinion, which is just like that one little stream of blood on like the wet tile around the pool. There was an interesting, so I guess going back to where I said there was nothing really technical that stands out, I take that back, because that moment to me was really, really well done. It would have been easy to just pour a bucket of blood in that scene because she just shot herself in the head.
It was restraint.
Yeah, like to just do the little stream of blood in the water there was an interesting choice. So there was an idea there of, there was one less is more moment, and we got a better shot out of that from just getting this one little bit of blood in that moment, instead of getting, just like I said, just a bucket poured, like, and just brain matter and whatever splattering everywhere. So a lack of gore in that moment was a good directorial choice.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think that there was never a point where I said, well, that's like an inhuman amount of blood that's coming out of someone, or that's not what a brain looks like. There's way too much, brain in that guy's head. Couldn't have been that smart. Or like even when he chops off, the hand, I think that, it's just the right amount of spurting that comes out of there. This isn't,
it's not a Kurosawa level.
Right. This is not like a rain of blood that comes out of here as the katana goes through. Twice we've mentioned samurai. Fantastic. Maybe we have to start a Japanese foreign film podcast.
Well, isn't that what the oh my god, the one about
we just got to get him to do a samurai film on Kickflix.
And thank you.
Does that count as kung fu though?
It's martial arts. They just do
martial
arts.
arts.
Dude, they did Street Fighter.
Arts, okay.
They did Street Fighter and Blade.
Okay,
there's there's just no rules, are there?
They've opened the floodgates, as it were.
I mean, I love the choices, including Street Fighter, I will say. And unironically, I actually do like that movie.
Somebody's got to.
If someone does, and I'm the sucker who keeps buying it. It's VHS, yes, I'll take it. DVD, take my money. It's in 4K.
You have the Criterion, don't you?
I do.
Steelbook Street Fighter.
I have the Steelbook. Yeah, man. Fuck, Kylie Minogue's in it, man. How can you not like this?
This is
movie?
true. This is
That
true.
is
Kylie
very
Minogue
true.
and Ming-Na Wen. How do I
Yes.
And Ming-Na Wen, exactly.
There's
So
the altar of Kylie Minogue is one that I will worship at.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't think I could like you more. I was I was mistaken, sir. Okay.
So we've come to that point in the podcast where we rate our movies. Daniel, did we settle?
Yeah, God, what? So I know we had kicked around a few things. We had suggested possibly doing not cranberry covered knives, but I believe the winner is we're going to go with, out of a possible 5 Ted Raimi branded drive-in condoms. Ted Raimi condoms. They're not your first pick, but they're there when you need them.
Listen, in that moment, you go for what's available. Okay?
Exactly. That's why they're Ted Raimi condoms. So out of a possible black market Ted Raimi drive-in condoms, what do you give it, Ish?
All right, so I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. I'm gonna say, if I had to give it condoms on its own merit, wow, that's a weird sentence I never thought I'd say. If I had to give it condoms on its own merit, I will give it 2. Okay. I'm always willing to give at least 1 because you know what? Somebody made a thing, right? So like a movie was created. Let's go with 1. I'll give it 2 because there were moments where, and I don't think this was the intention, I guffawed. Yeah. I didn't laugh. I literally, like, you know, sometimes you laugh so hard you get like a little bit of a headache, like that lightheaded feeling.
Yes.
That is what I got like 4 times watching this movie. But if I'm gonna rate it as a get drunk and hang out and watch it with people, then I would give it like a 4.
Okay.
Still, you're not gonna get 5 condoms from me either way. But I'm gonna, on its own 2. But if you're watching it within the right like parameters, right, like just as a let's get trashed and just watch this stupid ass movie, fine, that's a 4 because there's just some. Again, there's probably things that you guys saw that I didn't see, and vice versa. And so, if we were to all literally watch it all together right now, just get drunk and watch it,
like a dick,
like a dick, right? Which, ironically, I'm the one who didn't see it. I think there's a good time to be had if you're in the right mindset and the right environment.
All right, Dave.
I'm kind of with Ish on this one. This is not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. The special effects carry this film.
Yeah.
It just so happens to be a movie that belongs to a subgenre where typically the special effects carry the movie. And so this is one that I have willingly chosen to watch more than once. It is a movie that I have recommended to fans of 80s slashers and campy movies because I think that there's some enjoyment to be found in it. And although I have yet to watch this movie in a group setting where, let's say, you might be in an altered state of mind, I think that that's the purpose of this movie. So 4 is definitely too high, and two I think isn't high enough. So I think I'm going to go 3 because ultimately what I think it boils down to is, would I suggest this movie to someone else, to the right person?
Okay, I was going to say, like, and when you say someone else.
Right, and I wouldn't suggest this movie to just anyone. But if someone tells me that they're into slasher movies, 80s slashers, that they're into campy B movies, that they like bad movies, right? If someone tells me that, I might recommend this movie to them. If someone is over at my house and says, hey, let's watch a shitty horror movie and laugh and have a good time, I might recommend this one. And to me, that's the difference between going 2 or 2.5 and 3.
Quick question. Has your wife seen this movie?
She was getting into bed as I was putting this on Monday night, I believe. And I think she took one look and didn't even ask me what the fuck this was and rolled over and went to bed.
Okay, all right. Because I'm trying to think if next time we just all get together at your place and literally force her to watch this, and her reactions, I think, would entertain me alone.
Yeah, because she does like slasher movies, and the bloodier the better. So I think she would enjoy this. Jose, I don't know if Jose would enjoy this.
I enjoy this.
But
I mean, he smokes, so maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the right mindset, anyone can enjoy this movie.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've been back and forth with this one, and I think you've got a very good point there, right? Like you got a group of friends together, and so often that can be a selling point. Like I feel like there is enough guffawing, like Ish said, that if you had the right group of people together and you were just hanging out and looking to bullshit through a movie, you can talk during it because the plot doesn't matter and stuff like that. So I would be willing to bump it up to that 3, because there's 1.5, 2 stars there just for special effects, easily. And so from the perspective of if the right person, this is one I'd be like, man, I've got one for you. Like, and I think you're right. I think that moment when I'm willing to say that if there's a time and a place to watch this again, or the right person to recommend it to, then that's when you hit that 3 line. And so, I'm comfortable at that 3 Ted Raimi condoms as well.
All right. So, splitting the difference here, I think we're at 2.75 Ted Raimi bathroom condoms, bathroom driving condoms.
And listen, when this posts, I feel you should tag Ted Raimi. He may send us some Ted Raimi condoms.
I would gladly display them in my museum of shit. All right.
Listen, we already got Morgan Fairchild's attention.
We did.
So let's get Ted Raimi.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ish. So I mean, there's a time and a place for this movie, and so that keeps it above 2 for me.
All right, there we go. You heard it here. Blood Rage, at the very least, worth more than 2 Ted Raimi drive-in bathroom condoms.
And let's face it, you probably heard it here first.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a lot of other places.
Just Blood Rage, like not even the Ted Raimi condoms part. Let's just admit it. You probably heard Blood Rage here first, and we're okay with that. We hope we introduced you to something,
or whatever else is called.
Oh yeah. So on behalf of all of us here at Shiver, we hope you had a great time talking about Blood Rage. Please, if you enjoyed this, listen to some of the other podcasts on the Geek Bro Network. Listen to Ish on Better Let Me Tell You.
Who recently had Perez Hilton on, correct?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get all the good guests.
They get guests, man.
Yeah.
Yes,
they pull. They pull.
Yeah, they pull.
Yeah.
But we still haven't gotten Louise Lasser. So it's
I was you guys got that the bare knuckle boxing like champ on there who's dating Dana Brooke from the WWE. You got him once.
Ulysses, I can't remember. I want to say Rodriguez. He's the world record holder for the fastest knockout.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you guys do it.
Hey, Louise Lasser is still alive.
Hey, we'll tag her too.
So if you get Louise Lasser, you gotta have me on the show because I got some questions.
Oh, we all have questions. That will be like our only like multiple host episode because I will have both of you on because questions must be answered. Okay.
So please listen to Mount Geekmore, which Daniel and myself are on. Please listen to What's Up, Bro. Listen to
Crimacopia,
Fitness, Crimacopia, Kick Flicks.
I mean, if you don't find a podcast that you like, it's because
this is on you.
It's
Seasons.
That's right, seasons. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we've got something for everyone, but we'd appreciate it if you keep coming back here because we like you. We like
all of them can be found at geekbro.net.
Absolutely. So On behalf of all of us here at Shiver, write you very much.